Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Patience. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful underbust corset dress with draped cup, collar, elastic back waist, basque front waist and ruffle hem. Before we get started, kindly click the subscribe button. If you have done that, let's get into it. I'll be using this plain crepe fabric for this tutorial. It is 4 yards and I'll be drafting on this pattern paper. On the previous video, we learned how to draft and cut out the front and the back piece. I'll put the link on the description box if you have not seen that yet. Now on this video, we'll start by attaching the collar. From the shoulder, I am going to mark 3 inches. I'll come down by 3 inches. So this is the ½ inch for the joining allowance. From the ½ inch, I am going to mark 3 inches. So from the shoulder, I'm marking 3.5 inches. I will do the same thing on the other piece, and I will also notch. So I marked 3 inches because of the collar I am going to attach. So I'll be sewing ½ inch from this 3 inches down to this point. But I'll be sewing with loose stitch from the shoulder to this point since I'm going to lose it later. I've done that. As you can see, I used loose stitch here. I'll be losing that later. Now I'll cut it out and notch. I'll turn it over to the good side this way and I'll make sure to press. So for the back piece, I've gone ahead to make a gather stitch. As you can see, I sewed on ½ inch and close to the ½ inch again. I'll pick both ends of the thread and make my gathers. And I'll make sure it is up to half of the waist measurement. That is 18 inches plus 1 inch on both sides. For side seam, that is 20 inches. Remember, I am still going to add the 5 inches for band to complete the back piece. I've gone ahead to press this. This is how it came out. Now I am going to be making my loose stitch from this point down to this point. So I'll be making the loose stitch on ½ inch and also close to the ½ inch again. So I'm making double stitch on both pieces. So on this part, I've gone ahead to iron this. I ironed 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch again. I'll be top stitching this. On the cups, I've made the gather stitch. Now I'll pick both ends and make my gathers. For the middle piece, I've gone ahead to hem this part. Now I am going to attach the cup. So you can use any side for the good side. I'll place the good sides together this way and pin it down. I'll do the same thing on the other side. After doing that, I'll be sewing by ½ inch. I've done that. I've joined the cup. And this is how beautiful it came out. So on the wrong side here, you just want to trim it out a bit and serge. Before I attach the collar, I am going to be joining the front and the back piece. I'll place the right sides this way. Remember, the shoulder is not going to align because of the extra 1 inch on the front piece. Also, the waist is not going to align because of the 5 inches band on the back piece. So I've gone ahead to loosen the stitches on the neckline. Now I'll be making gathers on the shoulder. Remember, I added 1 inch on the shoulder. So I've made the gathered stitch. Now I am going to make my gathers. I'll ensure the gathers is 4.5 inches for the shoulder measurement. So I'll be using the back piece as a guide to measure it. Placing the right sides together, that's the front and the back piece, I am going to join the shoulder. So I'm joining the shoulder on just the fabric. I am not attaching the lining. Just for you to understand, placing the right sides together, I am going to be calling this the lining. So I'll be joining the shoulders together, placing the right sides together just on the fabric and not the lining. So I'll join the shoulder by 1/2 inch. I've done that. I've joined the shoulder, and as you can see, I did not attach the lining. So I'll be attaching the collar before I join the lining. I'm going to turn it to the right side this way so that you can understand. So this is the right side. As you can see, I left the shoulder of the other piece, that is the lining. Now to cut out the collar, I am going to measure from this point down to this point. Starting from these 3 inches, I'll measure down to the other 3 inches. And what I have here is 16 inches. So I'll be cutting the collar using this piece of paper. So this is on fold, this is 4 inches by 16 inches. I added 1 inch for sewing allowance, that is 17 inches. So if I should open it up, it is 8 inches by 17 inches. So I'm going to fold it this way. This is 8.5 inches, that is half of the round neck measurement plus 1/2 inch, as you can see. Now on the opened edge, I am going to mark 3 inches, and on the folded edge I will mark, you can mark 2 inches or 2.5 inches. So I marked 2 inches. I'm going to connect it this way and cut it out. In order for the collar to have a little curvy effect, I'll mark 1/4 inch and I'll connect it this way and cut it out. So, and I'm going to cut out the folded edge. So you can cut it exactly this way on your fabric and place the right sides together and sew on the 1/2 inch on this part, and this part is going to be opened, or you can use this as a pattern to cut out on your fabric. So you'll be cutting out ×2. So I'll go ahead and sew on 1/2 inch round this way. So this part is going to be opened. I've done that on my fabric and I trimmed it out and notched all through. Now I'll bring it inside out and I'll make sure to press. I've done that. After pressing, I made a top stitch round this way. Now I am going to be attaching it to the dress. I notched the midpoint of the back piece. Now I'll notch the midpoint of the collar also. To attach the collar, I'll tuck it in this way. As you can see, it is at the middle of the fabric and the lining, and I'll pin it down. I'll pin down the collar on the neckline to the shoulder, and I'll continue on the neckline on the back piece. I'll ensure the notched area are aligned. I'll continue down to the other 3 inches on the neckline and sew by 1/2 inch. I've done that. I've attached the collar just on the neckline, so I'm going to be attaching the shoulder later. As you can see, the raw edges on the collar are out. Now I am going to cover this up. To do that, I'll cut out a piece of fabric like a bias. I've gone ahead to do that. This is 1 inch, and I ensure it is enough to cover it up. So I am going to be sewing attaching the piece of fabric starting from the shoulder this way. As you can see, I'll turn it over this way. I'll be attaching the piece of fabric from this shoulder area. I'll sew on 1/2 inch from that point down to this point, that is the other shoulder area, and I'm going to cut out the excess. After doing that, I am going to cover it up this way by folding 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch again. So before I do that, to reduce the tension, I'll trim. Using the piece of fabric I just attached, I'll fold in 1/2 inch this way to cover up the raw edges, and I'll make a top stitch. As you can see, it came out neat. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to complete the stitch. I'll complete the stitch this way on this side and the other side. After doing that, I will now attach the other shoulder this way. So this is how neat it came out. We are done attaching the collar. Now I am going to complete the band on the back piece. Total length of this dress I am making is 40 inches. Remember, the upper part I measured from the shoulder to the lower waist, which is 20 inches. So I'll be cutting out the ruffle 20 inches, that is 40 inches. To do that, I am going to measure the V shape on the front piece to cut out the ruffle. So what I have here is 26 inches. I'll times that by 3 for my ruffle, that is 78 inches. So I'll be using these pieces of fabric for the ruffle on the lower part of the dress. For the front piece, this is 78 inches width, and like I said, the length is 20 inches, but this is 21.5 inches. I'll be using 1/2 inch to join to the upper part of the dress, and I'll hem the dress with 1 inch. So remember, the back waist is the exact waist measurement, that is 18 inches. So I'll be making the ruffle using the elastic thread. I've gone ahead to mark out the guidelines. So from I marked 1/2 inch that I'll use to join to the upper part of the dress. From the 1/2 inch, I marked 5 inches. So this 5 inches is going to be for the band on the back piece that is going to complete the back piece. So for the smoked design on the back piece, I've gone ahead to mark out these guidelines. So what I did was, from the 1/2 inch, I marked 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3 centimeter to 12 centimeter. So I marked and extended the lines all through, as you can see. But you don't have to do this. You don't have to mark out the guidelines. If you like, you can just start sewing using the elastic thread. So I'll leave 1 inch on both sides for side seam. So this is the 1/2 inch that I'll use to join to the upper part of the dress, and this is the 5 inches for the band that will complete the back piece, and this is the 20 inches for the length of the ruffle plus 1 inch for hemming allowance. Now I'll go ahead and sew on the guidelines all through using the elastic thread. So using a bobbin and an elastic thread, I am going to wind my bobbin using my hand this way, and I'll make sure I am not pulling the elastic thread. If you like, you can go ahead and adjust this part if you want it loose or tight. So I'll go ahead and fix in the bobbin and the bobbin case this way and start sewing on the guidelines. I get to the end of the line, I will lock the stitch, turn it over and lock the stitch again and continue sewing. So I'm not going to cut out the thread if I get to the end of the line, if that makes sense. I'll continue doing that all through the guidelines. After doing that, this is how it came out. You want to make sure to press it down to keep the gathers in place. So this is about 12.5 inches and the back waist is 18 inches. So it is going to snatch the back waist for a better fit. On the front piece, I've gone ahead to make my gather stitch. I sewed on 1/2 inch and close to the 1/2 inch again. Now I'll pick both ends of the thread and make my gathers. I'm going to be attaching the ruffle, that's the lower part, on the front and the back piece. Starting from the back piece, I'll place the right sides together this way and pin down the side seam. So I'll be sewing on 1/2 inch. Make sure to align it. Also on the front piece, I ensure it is up to the measurement on the V shape on the front piece, that is 26 inches. Now I'll place the right sides this way and sew on 1/2 inch following the shape. I've done that. I've attached the lower part both on the back piece and the front piece, and this is how beautiful it came out. The next thing I'm going to do is to join the front and the back piece, placing the right sides together. I'll align it this way. I'll ensure the lower waist line are aligned, and I'll sew on 1 inch for the side seam down to the hem. I have done that. I've also hemmed the dress. I've gone ahead to cut out the sleeve. I have a detailed video on how to draft a basic sleeve. I'll put the link on the description box. So what I did was I added extra 5 inches on the round wrists and connected it. Now I'll sew on the side seam and I'll also hem the sleeve. I've done that. I've joined the side seam and hemmed the sleeve. I left 1 inch opening that I'll pass my elastic band. Using a safety pin, I am going to pass the elastic band through. After doing that, I'll join back the elastic band and sew back the 1 inch. I've done that. And now I am going to attach the sleeve to the dress. I've done that, and this is how beautiful it came out. If you have not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? We have come to the end of this tutorial, guys. If this was helpful, kindly give this video a thumbs up and also click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to be updated when I upload a new video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.